Hey, my name's Dave Strom, and I've been writing a novel for a while called The Comic Book Code. And I'm just gonna give you a brief introduction to it, and then we'll go. Let's see, let's start the exciting music from Star Wars. There we go. At the twin-boobed nuclear, what has gone on before? At the twin-boobed nuclear power plant between Los Angeles and San Diego on I-5, yes, such a power plant really exists. Supervillain and French film director Spitoff and his sidekick, super stripper Barbie Bunny, have set the Superfix machine to go off. When it does, everyone on Earth except an elite few will be put under permanent mind control. Sven Svensson, reformed bad guy, is headed there now to destroy the machine. Dan Man, Hairy Headbutt, Big Dumb and Hulk Super Strong, and the two dudes, we could get any superpower we want, dude. We're flying to ensure the Superfix machine is set for Dan to be master of the world, just in case Spinoff set the controls to snotty French film director. Holly Svensson, also known as Holly Grego, our heroine, intercepted Dan, Harry, and the dudes flying over the E Street Cafe in Encinitas, her favorite coffee shop. She knocked out the dudes and tricked Harry into bashing up a mountain. When Dan tried to fly to the power plant, Holly stopped him using fishing motions to channel her telekinesis. Holly's powers: flight, super strength and toughness, super telekinesis, a nasty temper, and blonde Amazon good looks. Dan's powers: super armor with super weapons, super strength, flight, and a sarcastic, Stanley alliterative, joyous love of his work. Holly knows she must stop Dan from getting to that power plant by any means necessary except killing. Superheroes have a code against that. Chapter 60, the chapter with Act 2 of Holly's fight, the Mano e Womano power blasting scene. 100 feet in the air above the E Street Cafe in Encinitas, again, a Sunday, 5:14 p.m. Holly's telekinesis had reeled Dan in. Dan and Holly faced each other, 100 feet in the air, 10 feet apart. The supervillain covered in super armor, the superheroine covered in skimpy spandex. Dan smiled and nodded respectfully. "So you're a fisher of men?" His smile darkened. "Now think, the Superfix machine is about to go off. What kind of world should it create? Spit-off on Barbies, where humanity becomes actors are cattle and brainwashed boy toys? Or mine, where humanity becomes brave, bold, superpowered, and forcefully turned to the good?" "Whether humanity likes it or not," Holly said. But then she paused. Dan had a point. And Holly had a duty to go for door number 3. "I want freedom! The Superfix will be destroyed if you try to stop that. If you try to leave," she pitched her voice into Michael Corleone Godfather mode, "I'll pull you back in." Dan snorted and turned to leave. Holly punched, bashing Dan in the face with a huge telekinetic fist. Ba-boom! Dan fired his glove blasters at Holly's chest. Boom-bam! Building shook, pavement cracked, windows shattered, Windows Vista crashed. Wait, it always does that. Trees split, waves flattened, surfers lost their tans, dog howled, fat guys ordered seconds. Dan grabbed his broken nose and cracked it back into place. "Let me pass, now!" Holly wheezed through sore lungs. "What's wrong? Can't alliterate when you're mad?" The logo on Dan's chest armor glowed. "If you will not move, then you will be furiously fried." The logo engulfed Holly in a lighthouse, huge, white-hot laser beam. Ah! Holly's skin steamed, her hair smoked, her fist flew. "Take that, and that!" Her titanic telekinetic power pack punches missed. "Ha-ha, Dan, ha-ha. What's the matter? Can't see past the light of a billion suns?" Holly couldn't see Dan, but she felt something on her head. Dry, brittle, finger in a wall socket frizzy. "My hair!" She looked earthward, telekinetically reached for, where is he? Grabbed, gotcha, and swung the heaviest, hardest, stupidest clobbering device on Earth. Dan taunted. "Extra crispy yet? Golden krablam!" The laser stopped when Hairy Headbutt meteored into Dan. Boom! Boom! Harry yelled. "Harry hate body slams! Oof! Wham! Bam!" Dan yelled. "Must you always speak in third person? Oof!" Again and again, Holly outstretched her fist and bashed Dan and Harry together in time to her battle cry. "Pass!" Pancake, wham! Pancake, bam! Baker's man, slam! Slick bash me to supervillains as hard as you can! Slam! Shockwaves blasted, but blam! Cats hit, spill! East Street coffee drinker spilled. Stop that! Dan yelled, blasting Harry out of Holly's grip, before you hurt somebody! Holly swung a fist, but despite cracked creaky armor, Dan aimed his hands first. You need a crispier crust. Star Wars Emperor style, he bathed Holly in light-up New York City lightning. Holly convulsed violently, even-numbered muscles straining against odd-numbered muscles. Her legs and chest jello in an earthquake jiggled. I hate this job! She superhumanly stiffened her bodacious body, raised trembling arms, aimed clawed hands, and furiously fire-hosed raw telekinetic power into the lightning. Holly pushed the lightning back. Dan pushed it forward. Between them, lightning and telekinesis met and combined into, wait a minute, shouldn't energy just go through each other like flashlight beams? Oh well. They met in a thundering, flashing energy ball of ever-growing fury. The ball inched towards Holly. Veins popped on her hands and arms. She looked down. East Street Cafe coffee drinkers looked up. Scram! This isn't the movies! She pushed harder. Dan's armor printed error messages. He inched the ball towards Holly. Dan looked down and said, yeah, no rubbernecking! Get out of here! And he blasted harder. Suddenly the energy ball screamed. Holly and Dan stopped blasting. The ball screamed higher, louder, an opera singer going critical mass. Oops, they said in unison. Dan smirked as Holly desperately grabbed at the energy ball, which didn't budge. We can't save them, said Dan, cocking his head to the civilians. Let's go up I-5 together. We'll rule the world as king and queen of the geeks. Holly shouted, no! She grabbed at Dan and slowly, mightily dragged herself and Dan towards the ball. Dan futilely fired all thrusters, went into warp 9 reverse and clawed the air. You're crazy! Pull back in, Holly rasped. Onto the grenade! She pressed her hands together, covering the ball, herself, and Dan with two giant invisible telekinetic hands. Face to face, chest to chest, blazing bomb between them. Paint burnt off Dan's armor. Triple D chest shone through Holly's spandex. Dan's smirky mouth opened and then closed. Thanks, Holly grated. Yeah, guys, you got about 10 seconds till that bomb goes off. We didn't need to hear that. 9, 8, 7. Holly and Dan glared at each other. 6, 5, 4. They spoke in unison. I hate you. 3, 2, 1. Boom!